happy to be here.
It's been a little while, but it's nice to be back to doing these again. All right, so our plan is to go over a very small handful of questions about our Web3 initiatives before we go ahead and we open the floor up to questions from the live audience. The session will be about 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how many live questions we get. And then, of course, we'll go ahead and post the AMA up on our YouTube channel for folks who may not have been able to make it. For today, we are going to be specifically talking about Bitverse Heroes and our Web3 initiatives. But we are going to have a game-centric AMA for Quest in the coming weeks, so we're asking that everyone kind of hold on to those questions until then. So just to reiterate, today is Bitverse Heroes and Web3. In the coming weeks, we will have an opportunity to sit down and talk about things about, like, when is X feature coming to Bit Heroes. So that's coming down the pipeline. Now, before we get started, I do want to quickly mention a few things that may be of interest to the community that we have here. Tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Pacific time, Coffee and I are going to be doing some World Boss carries in Bit Heroes Quest. And then we're going to be swapping over to play Sons of the Forest together on stream. So if you are curious about this new release, I think it just came out today. We actually hope that you'll stop by to check it out. Again, I always have to do our quick disclaimers. The game is intended for a little bit more mature audience, but we'll let folks know when we're swapping over from Bit Heroes carries to the spooky stuff, so you guys can avoid that if you would like to. All right, now let's go ahead and get this show on the road since I know folks have a lot of questions on their mind. If you guys are ready for some questions, I would like to start us off with two that we've seen pretty frequently on Discord. So I think it's going to be a good place to start. So, y'all ready?
I think we are.
Yes? All right.
I
Cool.
hope we are.
All right. So, question number one is going to be more about general updates. So, can we have an update from the team about Web3 initiatives? Is the project still being actively supported?
Sure thing. So I'm gonna give this one to the Big Viper because he's our kind of our lead product manager on that front. If he can talk.
He was talking earlier. Donnie? Did we lose Donnie maybe?
I can hear Donnie.
Oh, you can hear Okay,
Oh,
give
I
me one
can't.
second. So that's super interesting. Let me go ahead and adjust my settings because Viper was talking in here just a moment ago. So let me make sure that they're not muted. And I will make sure that our stuff is set up correctly if you'll give us just 1 second. I cannot hear Donnie and I don't have them muted. Okay, give me just 1 sec to make sure that BitViper's mic is set up correctly.
Yeah, I'm not hearing him as well.
Yeah, Donnie, I can hear you.
Hey, Donnie, if you can hear me, go ahead and leave the stage and then come on back in. The fact that that some folks can hear you and some can't make me think that maybe,
Yeah. So while we
Okay,
wait to fix, yeah, he's
I'm
back.
back
Okay.
on stage.
oh, there
Can
we
folks
go.
hear me?
Yes, there we go.
Okay. All right. Good. Yeah. That was weird.
No
Um,
worries, it
I
happens.
think the
Discord, it's a weirdo. I'll go ahead and let you answer.
yeah no the easy answer is absolutely this project is still being actively supported, and we have developers working on it and pushing towards delivering the perks that we've promised, and also delivering enhancements and starting to think about what's going to come next. The biggest update I have is, we're pushing on unstaking. And to be honest, the unstaking has proven to be more difficult than what we thought. Now, there's a little bit more nuance to it. The actual act of unstaking, allowing someone to go in, unstake, get their NFT, and have it transferred back to their wallet, that's actually not that difficult. That was completed a long time ago. What's proven to be a little bit more difficult is this whole issue around being able to save a player's progress with the NFT. Not impossible. We are solving it. So let me first though, we are solving it. It's just proven to be more time taken to be able to get that built in. It's proving to be longer than what our developers initially thought. I mean, to be honest, as far as I'm aware, I think we're the first company, group, whatever, to try to actually tie in-game save data and store it with an NFT. And so it's just proven to be a little bit more difficult than what we had anticipated there, but it's getting very close. And I think some of the games have already started to push their required code into production. Now it's not turned on. What we're going to do is they push all the code into production, is get it in there, and then we will test it on the side ourselves to make sure everything's right, because we want to make sure that this feature is perfect. And then we'll be looking to turn it on. But yeah, I mean, it's proven to be, like I said, more difficult than I thought, or than anyone thought.
And I would say that's like the case 99% of the times in game development for everyone is kind of,
Yeah, and
understanding
that issue that this Web3 is all new, right? Most of this stuff is new. Even it's new to a lot of our developers. It's not technology that's been around for a long time, and we're pushing boundaries here.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this is one of those times where it's proven to be bigger than we thought.
And did anyone have anything that they'd like to add to this, or do you want me to move on to the next question?
I think the only thing I would add is, I know folks are, well, actually, never mind. That's the next question. Go ahead.
All right, and then the next question is going to be, when can we expect to see the perks for the NFT heroes to be released? Is there an approximate time frame that you can share?
So again, that a lot of it depends on unstaking. That's the one we're fully focused on right now. I will say that after unstaking, it will depend on which perk it is. So some of the perks are game specific, and some of them are more blockchain specific. And for those who don't know, like, we have different engineers, different teams that work on the individual games, and then also the blockchain side. And the skills aren't necessarily fungible between them. So we have certain groups of developers, and we have to hand them the work that's appropriate to them as it comes up next. I know after unstaking, the blockchain team is going to start working on the Gen Zero pet and mount. They're going to be working on minting the NFT and being able to get the NFT over to holders. So that'll be the next thing the blockchain team is going to start working on. Now, I will pause and say that's getting the NFT to the holders, not necessarily getting them working in game. That's a separate issue. But we want to get those NFTs minted and over to holders as quick as we can. The game teams will start looking at the perks as well that are more game specific. So the permanent permagore, I guess I'm going to call it, for lack of a better term, is going to be, I think, up next for Quest. And then starting to look at the gem bonuses are going to be things the game teams are going to start looking at as well. I do not have hard ETAs on when those are going to be done, but the teams are going to start pulling them into their production plans and working on them here over the next several weeks.
Yeah, I think I can add a little bit there. Permanent permagore. I know the work's gonna get done over the next month, so in March, and so hopefully the idea is to get it released in April. Yeah, the rest of perks, there's gonna be a slow rollout throughout the games, during the rest of the year. We want to compartmentalize things, and like, we still want to develop the games with new features, new content, etc., etc. So it's obviously it's a balancing scenario here that we need to keep playing every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. All right. So, with those two questions kind of out of the way, we're going to go ahead and we're going to open up the floor to other questions from the community. And I'm seeing a good one here right away. Why was there a vote for the NFT one pet, which was said to be combust, but now it's a community vote? It feels like it was sold as one thing and is now being changed.
Why was there a vote? Oh, why did the vote change it? Is that the question? I don't see the question.
Yes. So basically, the question here was why. So remember, we opted to do that community poll where we asked players about it. So to reiterate the question, this one is from Juan. Why was there a vote? So basically, why did we choose to do the poll? And which had originally been promised to be combust or said to be combust, I think is the better way of putting it. And this person saying that it feels a little bit like it was sold as one thing and changed. So I was wondering if you could speak a little bit to the kind of the thought process behind why we chose to make that decision.
Yeah, I think the first thing is that all of these concepts are, well, they're just that, concepts, until we get them completely down. And we were thinking about combust, but then when we unveiled that to the community, I think during that live stream back in December, there seemed to be some pushback and some thought from some of our veteran players that may not be necessarily balanced. And so we went back and looked at it, and we made the decision to try to bring the community in and have some discussions with them, and had the poll as well. Now the poll wasn't binding, just because whatever the poll results were, we weren't going to necessarily do that. But after seeing what the poll results were and our game designer having some conversations, we came back and decided that we would change it over to Fury.
Okay. I hopefully that answers that question for everybody here. If we have follow-ups, you are of course welcome to drop them in chat. I know quite a few people are talking about the date for unstaking. And I know that the last update we gave to the community was that we were anticipating that it would be ready towards the end of February, with the end of February being fairly close. Is this still something that we're on track for, or has that date moved?
I do not think it has officially moved, and we are definitely shooting towards that. Like I said earlier, I saw today that some of the game teams have started to push that code. Once that code gets in, we're going to have to test it and make sure. We're not going to release it until we are confident that it's going to be working properly, because we want to make sure that any NFT that gets unstaked, we want to make sure that the saved game data is being stored with that NFT. So when that player comes back and maybe stakes it, or someone else comes and restakes that hero, they'll be able to see that exact game data. Additionally, we want to make sure that an unstaked hero that has some progression with it, if it goes to get listed on one of the marketplaces, one of the third-party marketplaces, that some of that game data is also populating in there. We can only do so much testing on the blockchain test nets, and so we really need to get that code live and then be able to test it on the actual live blockchains and make sure that's all working. So I'm not going to say it's not going to be ready by February 28th, but we're really pushing for that. But it's more important that we make sure everything's working properly. And I just
Yeah.
don't know this time. I'm really hoping we're going to get it in, but we need to get it in system and tested.
Yeah, to add a little bit to that, part of the unstaking process also involves IMX, and
Mm-hmm.
we got an update from an engineer today that there's some problems with the API there, and they're trying to resolve that. Unfortunately, for those of you who don't know, IMX went through a round of layoffs just this week, and we just lost our contact there. So we're trying to reestablish communication. Hopefully, that doesn't block us any further. But we're actively working to get that out as soon as possible. It's in the next releases.
Yeah, and I will let me say, it's not so much the IMX blockchain that like anyone would use; it's their IMX testnet is the one having the issue. So this isn't affecting anyone who's going on to IMX; it's on their testing net, and that's where we've been running into some stuff. So anyone using IMX, like, we're not concerned about IMX or anything like that. It's just some of their issues with their testing grounds.
Mm-hmm.
And I do see an interesting comment here about why we chose to allow the community at large to vote on the to vote on the pet. And I think from a community perspective, I just want to put my 2 cents in for this particular one. The number of folks who actually are NFT holders is nowhere near the number of folks who are playing the game as part of our community currently in the traditional sense. Um,
Mhm.
I think it's kind of an important call out that when we're thinking about what the community wants, it's we have to balance the overall community and what is fair, and also you know sometimes these changes are going to happen because we think an idea is amazing, um we get down to the nuts and bolts of it, and sometimes it can be a little bit more complex. And we need to make sure that we're not, putting something out that is benefiting a very small number of players, and is overly, like, way too powerful, because that was one of the promises we made to the community. Functionally, we heard from a lot of people that that was the case. As far as follow up with our NFT holders who may have purchased this because of Combust, I think that was a very, very small number of people, and that's something that I can chat with y'all about, kind of in a one-on-one capacity, to get an understanding of that a little better. But just from a community perspective, as your CM, I just wanted to add some color there. That part of the reason we did that is to make sure that it's fair to the overall community as a whole. I don't know if anyone wants to add anything. Please feel free to correct me if I maybe misspoke. But from what I understand, that was definitely that was kind of the thought process there.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head with that one. And a lot of these things we're breaking out as concepts, and Zan or Juniper, you and I chatted about this before. I think the person who said definitely may have misspoke or said it too strongly. And so a lot of these things are early concepts, and we need to make sure that that's, that everyone's understanding that as we're talking through here, so that we also have freedom to chat with the community as well.
That actually is an excellent call out. I had completely forgotten in my intro, and I am so sorry about this, to do kind of like a blanket disclaimer, that these conversations are conversations. These are often, we do all we can to give you accurate information when we talk, but kind of the nature of spontaneous conversation is that sometimes we may not have all of the exact details nailed down. So here's my blanket disclaimer for this session is we want to try to share as much information with you guys as possible. Some of it may change. The final iteration of the things that we talk about here will be announced to the community in an announcement, in some version of a, like, actual formal statement from us, um, so that way we can continue having these conversations a little bit more casually. So that's just my, like, that was a great point, Donnie. I had completely forgotten that early on. I'm so sorry about that. But yes, disclaimers. Some of these things may change, but we're doing everything we can to try to get y'all as accurate of information as possible.
On top of asking the community or polling as far as their feedback for the perk, we're building this game for everybody, right? We want people, interested in the things that we're making, and we want it to be fun for everybody. So polling the community to see what they want is, in my opinion, a big part of it. We're all playing this game together.
I think that's an excellent point. It's a very good call out, right? The marriage between these two things is it has to work for everybody. So we appreciate the understanding of the folks who, like I said, I'll follow up with you guys separately, kind of in a one-on-one capacity. But we appreciate your understanding as we try to make sure that this project aligns with as many community members as possible. There is another cool question here that Cherubim was able to drop earlier, which is how will NFTs retain value if you can split the pet and mount? What I think that means is having the pet and mount be mintable separately from the actual NFT hero itself. The follow-up question here is how do we protect buyers? And how would people know what an NFT looks like in game?
Okay, let's.
That was a few questions. We'll
Yeah,
start.
there's a lot there.
Yeah, so let's just start with how will the NFTs retain value if we're splitting the pet and the mount out as separate mintable items?
So it's not so much that the NFT will retain the whole value as that the package of the three items will have the value. And ideally, the value of all three of them would go up over time, but of course, no promises or anything like that. But or at least maintain value as the character is played. The NFT hero is played. That should gain value as it saves progression and the character progresses and gains more items and all that. The idea behind the pet and mount is that the extreme rarity of them as the Bitverse grows should hopefully increases demand potentially for those items, either from a collector standpoint or just those stats haven't been reproduced again. And so the person's able to get those. But in reality, you have to look at the sum of all three to kind of go back to the original question.
Yeah, and what I would add to that is, at the end of the day, it's a package, right? Like when you're buying into Gen 0, Gen 1, or subsequent generations, it's like you're buying the NFT that you're getting, right? But you're getting these, let's call them freebies to a degree. Like you're paying for them, so they're not exactly freebies, right? But they're like something that comes with it. And what this allows you is, if you're a collector, you can get those in the aftermarket. Like maybe somebody, it's not unusual, right? Like you get some games when you buy your PlayStation or your Xbox, right? Depending on who do you support here, or you buy a graphics card, and a lot of people use those games to offset the cost of the main purchase. So in a way, you can look at this in the similar way. It doesn't mean that the console, like the NFT, so right, like holds any less value. It's just you're getting something extra. You decide whether you want to keep it yourself as a collector, or if you want to give it to somebody who actually cares about that.
Yeah, I think it actually provides the owner more flexibility than if it was just an in-game bound item. Then if you wanted to sell that, you'd have to sell your hero as well. Where if you decide you played with that mount and then you got one that you like better and you don't need it anymore, you can actually now go and sell, trade, whatever to someone else, and in essence kind of lower your original cost of entry by doing that, or trade for something else of value you would like.
And the follow-up question here looks like and I think I'm understanding what they're getting at. Basically, the question is if they buy, let's say, a myth on Rareable from Congregate, they know that it's never been staked, so they'll get their pet and their mount as part of that purchase. But let's say they were to purchase it from Bob on a third-party marketplace. How would they know if they already got the items and sold that separately? And what I think the answer is if you purchase from us directly, you know that you're like the pet and the mountain stuff come with it, as you said. But like,
Juniper, let me interrupt you there. That's
go
not
for it.
quite how it's going to work. So
Okay, go for it.
when we get closer to say the Gen Zero pet and mount minting, what we are going to do, we'll let everyone in the community know we're going to take a snapshot of all the wallets that have an eligible NFT in their wallet at that point. We ideally probably post the wallet addresses so folks can see them, and then we will go ahead and mint them hopefully as soon as we can and send them to the owners at that point. So it won't matter if you bought directly from us or if you bought off from someone else or got it from someone else. It won't matter leading up to that snapshot date. After that snapshot date, if you buy one from someone else, you will not be able to receive the NFT pet and mount, and the value of the NFT. You should take that into account for the value of the NFT hero after that snapshot date.
And that is because these pets and mounts will be NFTs, and NFTs are player bound, not hero bound at that point.
Right.
Okay. And then the two follow-up questions here. So you have to be staked to get your pet/mount
Yeah.
then, and if you aren't staked, you lose them.
No, you don't have to be. You don't have to be staked at that point. No, we can tell every wallet that has one based on the blockchain. One of the benefits of blockchain, we can see every wallet that has one, whether it's staked or not, and we can look at that, and we will use that to take our snapshot.
Wonderful. Okay, cool. And then we have another question, I think from Huen, who is saying, will there also be a burn of some sort so the market itself isn't oversaturated with the portals that don't sell from previous generations?
I would say TBD. The portals that weren't minted, the heroes that weren't minted, since technically they weren't minted, they won't be burned per se, but we are going to destroy the assets related to them. The other portals and heroes we have in our control, we haven't yet made that determination. At the moment, we're still selling some of them on the marketplaces.
Okay, I'm just going ahead and looking for this. Um, are there any plans for minting other items? Almost all items are tagged as hero bound.
Uh, yes, we do have plans to ultimately mint other items. We've talked about having to do the forge, and that ideally is coming later this year, and potentially minting some new items that aren't in the game yet, and potentially selling those or giving those away at some point. And then also having the forge, people will be able to take in-game items and mint those into NFTs. Those plans are still there.
Awesome. That sounds wonderful. And then it looks like we have a comment from Ducky. I've noticed that there's an issue using my wallet on iPhone to purchase NFTs from the Bitverse site. Is it better to do it from the computer, or will the site be made more user-friendly for people on mobile?
I think it depends on what the issue they're having is, right?
I recognize that the user experience from the phone is not the best, so I would recommend to stick to web for the moment. Although you should be able to do everything from mobile.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to look at that. I personally, for all my accounts, I only stick to the web where I can get behind VPNs and don't do it on my phone. So I'm a little more in the dark on how that's looking, but we'll take a look at it.
And Unseen, just to answer your question, at what date will we be able to ask questions related to Bit Heroes Quest? That will either be next week or the week after, depending on the schedules of Jorge and Paul and some other folks. But it's definitely coming up. We know that there's a lot of folks who just want to have a conversation about like more game-centric questions. So let's just say possibly next week, likely the week after that. And then as a follow-up, moving back into our Web3 stuff, I'm not sure if we can talk about this yet. So I'm going to ask this question, but we may not be able to ask it, or we may not be able to actually answer this one yet. But what are the rates looking like for Gen 2? I, again, caveat that we might not be able to answer this yet.
Yeah. Jorge, feel free to overrule me, but I think that's too early for us to have those conversations, Jen.
So, sorry, the question was the rates?
Yes, I think there are prices for
the prices. Yeah. Yeah, we cannot answer that at this moment. We are constantly evaluating the status of the market and our sales. And I'm very happy to say also that we've been seeing some more traction in this first quarter of 2023, which is great because it means that the project is gaining momentum and we have more people interested. But we do keep an eye on that, and we do have plans there as well. But it's too early to share anything.
Sounds good. Thank y'all very much. This particular question is saying, is there a particular reason or issue causing the functionality referenced in the rest of the question, why the NFTs can't utilize the main that's on the account for things like guild events and raids?
They're separate
Maybe
characters.
this one's for Paul. Yeah.
Yeah, they're separate characters. That's really the answer.
short and sweet. We love to see it. They're considered separate characters. I think the follow-up here is any two separate characters can team. So I think the reference here is that they can't carry themselves through content. Does that make sense?
Oh.
Because they're being treated as separate characters, they can't use themselves to use like you could if you had like an alt account. Am I getting that right, folks? I think that's what they mean. Yes, okay, that's what they mean. So they're wondering about that particular functionality.
I think that's an interesting idea. I don't know if I've heard that one internally, or Paul, Jorge, maybe you all have, but I don't know if I've heard that one internally. I think that's an interesting idea we could look at.
I agree.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah,
that one is. Go ahead, Jorge.
yeah. I was gonna say I obviously we would need to discuss, but I don't see a reason why players shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it'll all come down to priorities, right? And
Mhm.
prioritizing potentially this over something else. But it's definitely an interesting concept. I can see the use case for it.
Mhm.
All right, I can kind of see what they're getting at here. Okay, so what we'll do is that's super helpful feedback. It's not necessarily something that we can speak to beyond what Paul had mentioned today. Um, I think, Woo, that's kind of what we're talking about possibly now. Will we ever be able to use Basic and NFT together in World Boss? Similar but related?
Yeah, it sounds like the same
It's
thing.
not exactly right because World Boss requires both to be logged in at the same time. I think that's less likely to happen because there's more technical difficulties around that.
Hmm.
Like for
But this is
raid and some other game modes, sure, they're offline characters and they can you can use them. To use them at the same time in World Boss, I don't think so. And also, in a way, I would say that it goes against the spirit of the game mode, which is to play with friends and other folks, right, at the same time.
But Jorge, my best friend is myself.
Oh yeah, sure. Did I tell you about the Beat Viper with two B's?
I'm an imaginary friend. I only kidding. Um,
okay. So I'm seeing a few folks mentioning this is a little bit of a tangent, but we mentioned this in yesterday's announcement, so I'm just going to answer it really quick. There are questions about the mobile release for Runner and Arena. I think that we had said that those, Jorge, we had mentioned in the announcement that those would be in Q2 of this year. Was that correct? Or am I getting the
Um,
date wrong?
so Beat Heroes Runner is going through what we call a test markets phase. So it's actually playable in a couple of countries all over the world. We're gathering data, fixing bugs, etc., etc. Um, and the idea is to release it in Q2, have a global launch in Q2, yes. Then for Arena, the mobile version is going to take a little bit longer. We need to evaluate a couple of things there because it's built on a different engine, and we're looking into what's the best approach there. We could do a wrapper, but it's not like an amazing experience. So again, we're looking into it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. There's a lot of thank yous in chat for answering that one. The real giveaway was the friends we made along the way. Yes, sorry guys, there is no giveaway. There is no giveaway for the event this week. There's some things that we're sorting out internally, but we'll have our giveaways and our usual stuff kicked back up here soon. But for this particular event, the the real giveaway is all the friendship. So. All right. Does anybody have any other questions that they would like to have addressed by the folks that we have here? Or have we managed to touch on things? Okay, I see a comment from 007. Do you see guilds who pay to win having multiple NFT alts to have more than 30 members unbalancing?
Mm, like I can see why someone might have that concern. I would say from a high level perspective, right? And this is something that we will probably talk more about when we get offline. But it will take a lot of time, a lot of grind for those guilds to get there, right? Like compared, like how long is the path to tier 19, tier 18? So not particularly concerned about that in the next 2 3 years, but maybe we're wrong. So let us know.
Alrighty. Um, so I am going to go ahead and do like last calls for any final questions. And then I have, a question for actually Donnie, Jorge, and Paul to answer that they don't know about. So it's a surprise.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Run.
It's not that question from last summer y'all had about the hot dog versus or
Nope.
was it sandwich
Nope.
versus something? Okay.
No. We try for new ones each time, and I feel like I thought about you when I picked
Oh
when
no.
I picked this question. So you know, I think you'll be a fan.
Okay.
All right. So final call. Oh, there we go. Juan, is the Zeals not being shared an issue with the NFTs, or is that a coding/bug issue with BHQ? I'm pretty sure that's a bug that we are in the
That's a
process
bug, yeah.
of fixing. Yeah.
Hmm. And
There
it's
you
on
go.
our radar.
Hmm.
Okay, and then Cherub, I see your comment about the pets possibly not being equipable. Um, what I'll do is I'll take that and I will pass that along our internal feedback channels, just so you don't feel like I'm ignoring your post. But we'll take that feedback and we'll chew on it a little bit and get back to you um, at another time. All right, so final call. You guys go ahead. Think of any last questions you have. While you guys are doing that, I have a question for the group here. So, Donnie, Paul, and Jorge, um, if you could be a dinosaur, what dinosaur would you be and why?
Oh, that's so obvious.
Who wants to go first?
If it's so obvious, Jorge, go ahead.
Okay, first of all, I'll say for those of you who don't know, I think for the most part of 2022, we used to get to meet into meetings with on Mondays with a Jurassic Park T-shirt. That was kind of our common outfit. It was kind of a running joke around. We changed that for Hawaiian shirts on this first quarter of 2023. We'll see what we do for Q2. But besides that, T-Rex always wins, right? Like that's the main thing. I thought about the Velociraptor, smarter, faster, but I'll go with the T-Rex.
Solid answer. What about you, Donnie?
Yeah, it's well, two things. One, I'm not technically a Jurassic Park shirt, but right now I'm wearing a Camp Cretaceous shirt for anyone who's aware of the Netflix show. So close enough. And my kids actually have asked me this question about 8 times, and I think I've given 10 different answers over those 8 times. Yeah, I like the Velociraptor. However, after the latest Jurassic World movie, I love the name of the Pyroraptor, and the look of it with the feathers. I don't know who ever seen the latest stuff, and so I will say Pyroraptor.
That's not a real dinosaur.
A pyroraptor? That real? Is
It
that a
is a
real
real
di-
thing. It
Is
is.
that
Go look it up. It's a real thing.
I don't trust you.
It does have the coolest name. I'm just saying. All right, Paul, you're up.
All
What
right.
dinosaur?
Well, while everybody said they were going to say Velociraptor and then pick something else, I'm definitely just going to pick Velociraptor. They are the coolest, hands down. Definitely
Velociraptors are
Velociraptor.
they're pretty
My-
excellent. I think all of those are good choices.
Can I jump in with my second and third favorite dinosaurs? It's Distance Raptor and Time Raptor for anyone who gets the joke.
What the hell? Just stop making this up.
Come on, someone's got to get it. If you divide Distance Raptor by Time Raptor, you get Velociraptor.
Oh God, get out of here.
But
Oh God. It
Oh
took me
my
a
God.
second to get it, but that was an excellent
Yeah,
guess. That
we
was
should
fantastic.
mute him, please. Mute him.
can we boot him from the server?
Yeah. God damn it.
So I would be I'm not gonna lie, I know that it's not actually the name of the dinosaur. You guys will probably know the name of the dinosaur. I used to call it a brontosaurus when I was growing up, but I've been told by so many people that that isn't a real dinosaur. Whatever. The ones that are super tall that like plants and are like herbivores, that one. That would
Yeah.
you guys all went for like the raptors. I'm over here like I would just I would just hang out and eat grass.
Oh, did
Sauropods,
someone
is that what they're called? A brachiosaurus?
Brachiosaurus?
Is it a
Isn't it?
brachiosaurus?
brachiosaur,
There's a
Yeah,
couple
the
of
ones with
diplodocus?
them.
the really long necks. That one, because I'm really tall, so um, I would be that one. Yeah, the one
Are
in the
you, are
land
you
before time that died. That one.
Oh,
Littlefoot?
Littlefoot's mom?
Yeah,
Oh
Littlefoot's
no.
mom. Yes.
Littlefoot's
Oh my God,
mom? Oh,
trauma though. The trauma. Yes, Littlefoot's mom. That one. That one. That would
is
be
that a
my dinosaur
seismosaurus?
choice.
That's the
Yeah,
one. That's the one.
that's a real dinosaur. That might be a seismosaurus if I had to guess.
I love how much you guys know about dinosaurs. It's incredible.
Well, I have two boys in my house who are dinosaur crazy.
Sure. That's the reason why.
Well, actually, so I will share this. I also was into dinosaurs hugely when I was a kid, and my nickname that people called me was Dinosaur Donnie.
Nice.
So I will. Yeah,
God, I gotta keep that one.
I will
So
own
Dinosaur
it.
Daddy.
we may be changing. If you log into the server and your name goes from Dev the Bit Viper to Dinosaur Donnie, I didn't
Donnie.
do it.
Donnie.
It's okay, Donnie. When I was growing up, I wanted to be a paleontologist, so I'm in the same boat. I used to draw dinosaurs all the time.
God.
Yeah, dinosaurs are so much cooler looking now than they were when we were younger. They were like all fat and slow still.
The dino evolution. All right, so since it seems like we're out of questions on the Web3 front, we're going to go ahead and we're going to wrap things up here. I really want to thank our guests for taking the time out of their very busy days to sit with us, and a very, very sincere thank you goes out to all of you for hanging out with us to talk about the Bitverse. Our next community event is going to be tomorrow at 5 p.m. PST. If you are in need of a World Boss Carry, come and stop by. Besides that, we hope you have an absolutely wonderful evening. Thank you again, and we will see you guys soon.
See you guys. Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for having
you.
us. Take care.